What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at the best icons in FIFA 23. We've done a tier list with every single one of them, but now we are focusing on the best of the best. There's a lot of these that I think are new, Trophy Titans for birthday, but there is also some that I do think are on an absolute new level. So we've started off, we've got, obviously you can see quite a few there, but we've got loads underneath, so get yourselves strapped in. And to start with, we'll start with the Canavaro of this. In terms of Canavaro, definitely could do with an upgrade. We've got a World Cup, but most definitely now he's starting to really come into the lower tier, in my opinion. He is one of them ones that at the start of the game, especially the base version, is incredible, but we're now seeing a lot better from other players. If then we move on to Capita, who is also known as Carlos Alberto, absolutely cracking. He is a beautiful icon. There is a good amount of right backs now, as well as just normal non-icons, so he is starting to be an interesting one with where you could use him. But I do think in terms of Capita, he is a great one because of his centre-back alternative position. That one, for me, is what really makes this card into a next sort of level. He's not only a right-back, which now we do have someone like Carfu who can step in, but also because, obviously, we can have him in that centre-back role next to him. That is a beautiful position for him. I do think, again, it would be nice to see another version of him. I don't think he might have had a World Cup, actually. I know he had, obviously, moments last year, but this year it's just the 93. The one that I am absolutely disappointed with so far, we are yet to see another version of Henry. I want it. I feel like now it's going to be shapeshifters, and I guarantee we'll find a centre-mid 95 that can't be a striker Henry with 99 balance, but he is desperate for one. Imagine a 95 5-star, 90 plus balance on him. The card would be absolutely cracked, and I'm hoping that they do it. In terms of a striker now, I feel like he's definitely good still. He's not totally unusable, but I do think he's slowly becoming out of the rhythm with all of the players that we've got. He's just not there at the minute now. I feel like he needs that big upgrade to really take him to that next level, and it's what we've been waiting for years for Henry. They've managed to screw him up every single year, which unfortunately just is what it is. We then move on to Trophy Titans Roberto Carlos, a beautiful left back. Still not my favourite left back of the game. Capita has been sensational, absolutely sensational this year, but I do think Alberto Carlos will be an absolute beautiful card to add to your collection of icons. The best left back icon, I believe. You have got an Ashley Cole. I don't personally rate him too highly, but obviously with Roberto Carlos, he's got everything. He's got the free kicks if you needed a free kick taker with a left foot. Obviously the pace, the passing's decent. He's got a good amount of defending physical that can have a chemistry on it. I do think, for me, he is an absolute wonderful card if you can get a left back that you really need. We then move on to, obviously, Essien. I do rate him. I do think he's not a bad card. Is he the best CDM? Probably not. I do think there is better out there, but in terms of an icon, CDM ones are hard to come by, and I do think, for me, him and Gattuso are very, very similar. They've had a nice upgrade, obviously going from their previous versions. They are technically higher than the Prime, whereas obviously the World Cup, predominantly, it is either a card that is 1 below their Prime or 2 below their Prime. With these two, obviously they're above it, and they both have had nice upgrades. Good defending physical, solid pace between them both, passing and dribbling looking like a little bit of an upgrade, but it's only just a little bit of an upgrade. It's not necessarily pushing them into the A+, into the S. It is a standard at the moment. And to be honest, the same could be said about Makelele. The one thing I do like with Makelele is naturally in game, he plays really, really well. And I think over these two, I personally preferred Makelele. I like Essien and Gattuso, but I personally prefer them on their base forms. At the start of the game, you haven't got too much competition with them. Whereas Makelele, I feel like this is definitely now where he really comes into play. You don't really see too many of his kind of base, mid and prime. Obviously, base being a right mid. But this one is definitely one that I would really, really recommend to have a look at. Also, SBC-wise, Raul, again, another player that really, stat-wise, doesn't really outshine anybody. But in-game, he's actually really, really nice. As a striker, centre-forward cam works absolutely perfectly. The pace is good for him. He's got a great shot on him. The dribbling's been upgraded. A solid SBC if you do get it done. And obviously, it will be an SBCs until Team of the Season is pretty much over. Same again with that, we have got a Rivaldo who is an absolute monster now. Had a lovely upgrade on the weak foot and has really put him into that perspective as well. Being another SBC can get him done way into team of the season, so there should be no reason, if you are grinding that little bit, that you should be able to get this SBC done, no problem, and he's a wonderful left wing. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. And now we also always have the debate between Gerard and Lampard. And I don't know if it's because Lampard obviously has himself the objective that you can do, but for some reason he feels better. He feels better than Gerard, obviously a little bit more pace. The dribbling wise is a +1, passing's better on Gerard, defending physical, very, very similar, and both of them have the same stats on shooting. But Lampard, for some reason, in-game, just feels that marginally better. And again, it could be because his junior is a 93, so they make the 94 better so that you go and either buy the card or you don't bother doing the objective, or you find out at the end of the objective that the 94 just feels so much better. And I do think Gerard's nice and it's a good upgrade for them both, but I do feel like they are that split at the moment. Bobby Moore coming in now as a cracking centre-back, and unfortunately we have got a lot of very good centre-backs now. It is that point where he'll only take you so far. The World Cup was a long time ago. We've got somebody like a Rio Ferdinand now, a Desai, a Blanc, a Nesta, a Baresi. We've got a lot of top-end sort of centre-backs that have come in through these icons, and Bobby Moore for the World Cup era, incredible. Still very, very good for value if you are looking at a cheap centre-back, but I do think he's slowly coming out of fruition, and even then it's only good for Bobby Moore's card. In terms of comparing him to a Virgil Gold, very similar. In terms of the Bobby Moore upgrade, it's really good for the set of them. He's by far the greatest out of every Bobby Moore we've ever seen. And on to another SBC in obvious Keane fashion. We are going to just move that out one touch just so it's a bit easier, but we do have, obviously, wherever he's gone, Keane as another SBC cracking card. Always been a solid centre mid, never been the best. And I do think, again, with these trophy titans, they've done really, really well for them. And I think Keane is one of them that has definitely benefited from this because he's now a very forced centre mid. He's good passing, good dribbling, defending physical with a beautiful upgrade, and all you need now is just a little bit more of a pace. Not necessarily the goal scorer, but most definitely defensive to box works an absolute treat, and the SBC is obviously still there for a while. We then move on to a couple of S's. Obviously, Dalglish has got to be in there with his 5-5. This card is incredible. I really, really rate him, and I don't think we've got him just yet, but there's another one who, in fact, we will try and find him straight away because he is an absolute monster in himself as well. This guy. Not this guy. This guy. That's it. Del P is an absolute monster as well. Both of them, Trophy Titans week 1, week 2. 5-star upgrades. I rate them, and only because you can't really compare them to R9, Eusebio, Cruyff, the yada yada. But in terms of a pick-up and play sort of striker, they are monsters. We've managed to pack Dalglish late on into week 2, and he has been an absolute force up front. And Del P, if you're a fan of the channel, you know I really like base prime Del P. This is just another version that takes him to a next level. A great upgrade, a lovely 5-5. Them two for me have been sensational. And another one that has been, as we always know, Vieira is next level as a DM, box to box, whatever you want to use him. Like Hullet, like obviously Matthias in a different fashion. They are the pinnacle of midfield, and they will always be. We move on to Eto'o, and definitely now Eto'o is really showing what he's all about because he is still up in this category. I feel like S would be a 94-95 Eto'o, but obviously with the weak foot upgrade I think he got on this one, compared to the prime, I will always go for a skill move weak foot if it is only a +1 upgrade for his prime. This card is a joke, and I still think base, mid, prime, World Cup are all absolutely incredible if you can get their hands, because again, like Dalglish, like Del P, very pick up and play sort of striker, easily manageable, fast, great shot, great dribbling, passing semi-okay, but he just is naturally brilliant in front of goal. Then also we have Cruyff, who we're not going to spend too much time on because we haven't had any upgrades for him. I think he did have a World Cup, but it was already a 5-5, so the Prime is going to take that spot as the number one, as obviously a 94 Cruyff. To be honest, again, like Eto'o, but on a different scale, any version of Cruyff is still very, very good, and we still have that mid SBC in SBCs for a while. I think about at least 30-40 days until we're halfway through team of the season pretty much. Rio Ferdinand, another great upgrade for obviously the Trophy Titans, who is going to go well into that A+. An incredible centre-back, again, that we've managed to pack and really utilise over a lot of the centre-backs. We do have a good amount. For instance, Blanc is there with him, and to be honest, Baresi as well. I feel like they are the new upgraded of Bobby Moore, and then maybe once we get team of the season, once we get Shapeshifter, if we get Shapeshifter icons and heroes again, they will then slowly come down again because we will have a new wave of centre-backs. But in terms of icons, they are definitely up there, and obviously we've got to put our man Desai there as well. I do think Desai is another one in terms of a CDM. You could definitely argue that he's top of the top. He is incredible on the ball, just getting it away. But I do think in this version, centre-back is very, very important for him. Obviously then we have Pele, we have Garrincha, both of them still absolutely on top form with him. 98, 94, he does, or both of them do have World Cup versions, but again, both of them are incredible in this version as well. There's no upgrade on the skill move or weak foot for both of them, so the higher rated will always win on that debate. We then have Georgie Best, who again is going to be accompanied in that S category. The 94 is incredible. We love a foot birthday. Any of the icons are absolutely nuts. Same with the Jarzinho that will come up, and Eusebio obviously always puts himself in that category as well. He is, again, just another absolute beast when it comes to being an icon. Then also we've got Jarzinho, as we clearly said. We also then have Cantona, who again is, he's got to be in the S. Like there's no other debate other than he is S. And to be honest, you could argue with all of these. Like we've got Maldini, we've got Puskás, we've got Van der Sar. We'll go over these in a second as they've all come up in one. Cantona is just really good in game. He's so strong. He's obviously got a great finish. His pace has been upgraded. He's just naturally a very good player, but he does require a certain game sort of style. He's not just a hit and run. He's not just somebody who just blitzes past everybody. There is a bit more tactics with him, but I do think what he can do is the S sort of level. Maldini, I don't think there's any arguments there. Best centre-back in the game, give or take. Lucio, obviously a Virgil team of the year. And to be honest, that's probably about it. With him, you've obviously got Vidic. I think in terms of Vidic's team of the year, he was absolutely spot on. He's got incredible defensive ability, obviously, a good amount of pace, and I do think in-game, he naturally is better than a lot of the centre-backs we have seen. Puskás, again, one of the best Puskás we've ever seen. Another one that is absolutely nuts, like the Eusebio, like the R9 that will come up. They are top of the top for a reason. And Van der Sar, 1.1 mil still. A sensational keeper. We have got one other keeper in here that I think we'll find in a second, but again, another one that is just absolutely nuts. And if we go back one more, we then should be able to see the rest of them. Hullet, Hullet, and obviously we see R9 and Zidane, and also Ronaldinho. Hullet, again, another upgrade on top of the absolute monster. And it's the same for all of them, to be honest. Most of them are 5.5s anyway, bar from Ronaldinho, which I am very, very gutted that they didn't do. But all of them have just another extension to, obviously, their primes, which were already 2, 3, 4, 8 mil cards. You just can't write it better, but they are naturally incredible. Same as Matthias. And that's with these upgrades. They are very similar because they still are incredible. There is no difference other than just a +1, a +2 maybe, and that is it. There is no other massive update for them. They're just still very, very good. If we're then moving down to a couple of the lower list, I do think for me, Bergkamp is a sensational card for a very cheap value as well. In-game, I feel like they've really done that pace a little bit better compared to previous. But then we've also got a nice dribbling. His shot's good, passing's good. A very solid cam / forward sort of role card. That, again, I do think same with Lampard. The objective, because it's a 93, they've made this one a little bit more juicier. So that if you do get the 93, you might still go and get, obviously, the 94 as well. We then have Lahm at right back. Again, another great upgrade for him. I do think they've put him in a nice category here. Whether he kind of really lives up to the hype of obviously the price. We do have Zambrotta as a right back. We have Cafu, who is an S every day of the week. If you've ever used him, you understand. The overlapping, if you really wanted to. The general defensive ability, a stunning right back. And I do think with obviously Carlos Alberto, because I personally prefer him as a centre-back, he will stay there, but Cafu is just incredible. But then with Lam, with Zambrotta, they're both very, very standard, good right backs, but I don't think they quite make it into that S. I would say Zambrotta for price would be more efficient than Lam, and Lam I've always preferred as a CDM personally. I absolutely love him there. He's got that sort of Conte vibe, a smaller player, very agile on the ball, and really, really good at that defensive physical unit. Even if the physical is not there, he still naturally gets the ball back very, very well. We also then have people like Wayne Rooney, and to be honest, put the other strikers who I'd put in there. I'd put Torres definitely there. Gerd Muller, arguably S, but I do think there's a little bit of a discrepancy with him. Hugo Sanchez, yes, I would, to be honest. In terms of an SBC, I don't know how many days we've got left with him, but it's not very much. And I think in terms of that, Owen for me is good, and I do think he's a good striker, but I don't think he's quite on that level. He's got the pace, but I do think that's about it from him. But in terms of Rooney, naturally big upgrade. Love him. Incredible in front of goal. Butra, same as Eto'o. Very, very good at pick up and play. He's got the 4-star, 5-star, I want to say, and naturally very easy to get along with. And same as Torres. Again, a nice upgrade for him, and I do think with him, their card, obviously the base, the prime, I think it might be the base that's not necessarily incredible. I think, was that 185, I want to say? I think that one they really screwed up on, but the mid and the prime, very nice, but I think by the time the prime comes out, we've already got a very star-studded up front, whereas this is definitely the next level for him. Gerd Muller the same. I feel like at the start of the game was new, was kind of hyped up just because of being new, and we're starting to see where his sort of level is, and I think it's just below the S tier. It's not quite in the S, kind of like Eto'o, to be honest. I think Eto'o would require a 95, 96 to get himself up there. But in terms of what we normally get, the base, mid, prime, obviously a World Cup, maybe a Moments, he stays at that top end, not necessarily going down or going up. And same with Hugo Sanchez. I think in terms of his prime, a nice card, but it's definitely the team of the year that puts him in this A+. I'd probably say more A to B+, if it was just the prime. And also alongside Rivaldo, at the minute we do have a team of the year Pires SBC, and I do think when he came out, incredible left mid, very cheap, very affordable, but now we've got a Rivaldo or Pires SBC. I'm always doing Rivaldo, and that is why there is a big price between them. I personally packed Pires from the 90+ icon, and I do think he is an incredible winger if you're looking for somebody who isn't necessarily millions upon millions, but I would always choose Rivaldo, so he's got to go into that A. Xabi Alonso, one of the best SBCs I finished, an incredible card, team of the year, great CDM, it's a beautiful upgrade for him, and it's like most of these, like the Nesta, like the Baresi, like obviously the Vidic. It's just put a card that is nowhere near on the map. It's Xabi Alonso, base, mid, prime. I would doubt you'd probably see him, even if it required an all-Spanish team. He's just not that good as an icon. His pace was not there, whereas this version has really stepped up, and he is incredible in that CDM role. We then have Xavi, who again I think has had a lovely upgrade from him. Just seeing where I actually put him down on my list. In terms of Xavi, we've put him as the A, which to be honest makes sense. I do think he's very much like a Pirlo. There's only a one suitable role for him, and it's predominantly passing. The defensive side, you're putting a body in front, but he's not necessarily winning it. You could put him in front of goal, whack a hunter on him. You'd end up with, 92 pace, probably about 88 shooting. But again, there's so many cams, better CMs with going forward. It is passing and dribbling, and if that is your game, he would work really well for you. But in terms of taking up a midfielder spot, I would much rather have a Xabi Alonso. I'd rather put Zidane in the middle. I'd rather put a Renato Sanchez there. He's not necessarily doing it for me. We then have Kaka. He is so close to an S. I do think for me, Kaka is like top 1 to top 5 spot in this A+ role. He is a beautiful upgrade, but I don't think he quite pips Zidane. I do think if I'm looking at this list, is he up there with them? I just don't think so. We've got Beckham, easily an A+. Again, like Xabi Alonso, they've made him relevant. They've made him into a point where if you got a Beckham, a Team of the Year Beckham, most definitely, you are happy. That is a card that you want. If you've got a Team of the Year Messi, fair enough, and that is why he's not in the S. And same with Best, Jarzinho, Garincha. They're better than him, obviously. But in terms of a Beckham specific, incredible upgrade. Nesta, another one, absolutely brilliant centre-back. I think, again, they've really pushed him up. And I do think as we go through Team of the Season, we'll slowly lose a bit of sort of value of him, but for right now I do think he is incredible. And same with Zanetti, another great upgrade, another one that I do like in the CDM, little bit taller than Lahm, and I do think in terms of the physical aspect, in the middle he's incredible. We've always liked the Desai, the Zanetti moments, and same with Lahm, to be honest. They've always been a CDM role, which I think has been absolutely perfect for them. And then finally we do have Yashin, who again is going to get off this tier list nice and easy with obviously a beautiful A+. And if we move myself down, we can see the full list there. Let me know your thoughts on these. Is there anybody that you should have added? Make sure you like and subscribe and check out a video on screen. Peace.